Good evening and welcome to Golden Nugget Nation Q&A session. And while I'm waiting for anyone to show up, I just thought I'd start off by number one, thanking those people who participated in our free for all Freaky Friday last Friday, which will occur every Friday from this point forward. This is an opportunity for you to tell us about one thing in your streams of income that you are promoting, doing whatsoever, uh, or topic that is what you are doing to be productive. Last week, we had about 5 people participate, and the feedback was very interesting because some people said or claimed that they had never even thought of that as being an opportunity for themselves as well. So you're really helping people in doing this. So number one, thank you for the people who participated. A component is if you share something, you also have to go to somebody else's site and make a comment, a like, etc. That way we're building up some kind of informational system and supporting one another so that it isn't just an absolute advertising opportunity. Gary's Glorious Golden Nuggets, the program for this is a podcast where we like to talk about the business, entrepreneurial, spiritual, social aspects of being an entrepreneur, having a business, being online. And part of that is being aware of who you can support, who is putting out some product or service that you could utilize, and hopefully they will be able to come back to you. One of the things that has happened to me since I've come into the digital world is I have found that I walk down one path to come in, thinking that I would be enjoying that path. And at the end of the day, I realized that I was on the wrong path for me, even though being in the digital sphere was the right thing for me to do. And so I have moved down into other paths and have discovered that there are ways to get multiple streams of income that come flowing into you. And if you think about it, if you could make from 15 different streams just $50 a week, how much money would you make? Well, for the average person, that'd only be $750 a week. But that $750 a week would be continuous, allowing you to work on other streams or developing them. And this is where you end up with one week, maybe it's $45, but another product is selling $75, and you're getting there. You're getting there, and it will slowly build up, especially as you develop a good sales funnel, as you develop a good email capturing system so that you can keep sending out new ideas, new concepts that benefit you as a means to creating income passively. You're going to have to be active. Everybody has to be active, but the money is going to come in while you're sleeping, while you're going out to dinner, going to a movie, because you have set it up and it's moving on. Now, one of the things that I have found very interesting is some people have got into Forex. Not so much Forex trading where they're actually operating the money themselves, but they're actually kind of passive in a multi-level marketing system that does Forex. Now, I know there's some that have just crashed and died along the way, and that typically happens. But if you can find the right kind of organization where people are long-term Forex investing operations, they have very good protocols to protect themselves as well as your money because they're in for the long term. They're not looking for the big win. They're looking for the long-term wins. if you find somebody like that, that's a good system to get into, especially if the goal is to try to earn about 1% on your money each day. Just imagine if you get into 1% increase on your principal each day, by the time you get to the 72nd day, you have doubled your money. Can you imagine how quickly you could take, oh, let's just say if you had $1,000 and you had it earning just 1% interest every day, but at 72 days, you'd have $2,000. Imagine what would happen after you did another 72 days at 1%. You would have 4,000. What would happen when you go a second or a third 72 days? That 4,000 becomes 8,000. And as long as you leave it in there and let the interest work for you, can you imagine what would happen when you approach your 23rd 72nd day period? You would be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars that is being earned passively for you. And at that point, when you're earning that much money passively, it's easy to start taking out a few $1,000s every month just to meet your needs. And now you don't have to work so hard. You have the children of your children of your children earning money from you. If you've read The Richest Man in Babylon, you'll understand that idea. Now, that's so much said, and that's in regards to our Freaky Friday free for all. So please join in. And what makes it a Freaky Friday, like we explained last week, is 30 hours long. Everybody wants more hours in a day. You get 6 extra hours. It starts at midnight London time, and it ends at just before midnight. Well, let's just call it midnight Mountain Time in the United States. That gives people all over the world 30 hours to get in, put up their item. The only thing that we ask is that you take down your ad at the end of the week, at the end of the period. So if you're in London, it's about 7 in the morning. You need to be taking it down. If you haven't taken it down, we'll be taking it down for you. And put your ad in the folder. There's a folder that's in the files that's just called Freaky Friday. So you can just put your ad in there. Anybody can come in at any other time during the week and take a look. Maybe they saw your ad earlier, they just didn't act on it. They can come back, they can review it, get back with you. Make sure you have your contact details so people can talk to you. It may be that they want to do business with you. It may be they just want to know how they can jump on the same stream of income that you're moving on, or learn more about it. So, yeah, that's what we're all here for, is to help each other, to progress, to promote, to get where we need to go. Now, another topic that I wanted to bring up tonight and wanted to talk about is social responsibility. As we are working as entrepreneurs, there's a responsibility, I believe, in as we begin to master ourselves, as we begin to master our minds and our ability to attract wealth to us, as we begin to develop multiple streams of income, that we also remember that there are people in the world who struggle, who need help. Now, social responsibility can be just as simple as opening up groups on Facebook to attract people so that we can help and elevate them and lift them and bring them into the digital realm. It could be very much like, um, I like one of the members of our group, what she's doing, and that's Andrea. Andrea has something she calls Boss Lady, taking women who have gone through that midlife crisis period, oftentimes end up being divorced, finding themselves in a very bad psychological and economic situation, not really sure how to negotiate or how to navigate in this world. And she has developed a program that is out there to support them, help them find their strengths, and to move ahead by uh, finding what they have to really offer to the world to give back. Now, that's a great program, and I like that concept and that idea. I think the problem is a lot of times you find entrepreneurs who just want to make the money for themselves. Nothing wrong with that. Eh, However, we know that we only are going to really succeed if we collaborate with others. We also know that we have to be generous in working with people. If we're only looking at what is good for me in a deal, then we're probably not going to make too many great deals in our lives. And when I talk about social responsibility, all around us are opportunities. Now, for some people, their sense of social responsibility is every time they see like a charity bucket uh, or a charity box at a cash register, they turn their loose change into it. If that's you, that's fine. That's all right. There are other people who take on a cause. Maybe it's cancer. Maybe it's dementia. Maybe it's abused children or homeless children or human trafficking. And they want to attract funds. They want to give their own money. They want to become invested, involved in their free time in supporting and helping people who are involved in these situations to improve their lives, to make things better. Great social responsibility. I love it. And then there's other organizations. Um, I'm aware of an organization in Africa right now that, for the lack of just $2,000, is spending most of their money each month for food and rent on land. What they want is just $2,000. Can you imagine? In this group, there's 250 people. If every person in this group just turned in $10 to that group, they would have, $2,500, 500 more than they need. They would be able to purchase this piece of land that they're growing food on now, that they're paying rent to. They could just now grow all the food on it. They wouldn't have to pay the rent any longer. And they would have an additional money to buy whatever equipment to make growing food faster, easier, more economical for themselves. And that's what they're asking for. There's something like 60 children who are benefiting from it, who don't have homes or families who can take care of them. They're getting education, so their education is there. I mean, we all feel good about things like that when we know that we can help, and it just takes a little bit of money. And I'm not just talking about Africa. I On my podcast, I had Angel Rebo, fabulous man, just made a fortune in his life. He's taken most of his money and he's turned it over to an organization he's created in Central and South America, taking children, no opportunity, helping them, mentoring them to understand what the natural and local resources are in their community and how they can organize themselves as entrepreneurs to take that item and make it into a profitable venture for themselves. I also know of people who are involved in like microbanking in places like Pakistan, Bangladesh, India. Now, think about it. Most of the time, when you're thinking about a business, you're thinking about thousands and thousands of dollars. And with these microloans, sometimes it's as little as $500 can make a person an independent entrepreneur, and they can actually begin employing other people to work for them. I recall very vividly watching a BBC special about a guy that was building chairs out of bamboo in India. In order for him to build a chair, he had to borrow money every morning from a bank, go buy his materials, spend all day long building 5 chairs, the next day selling those 5 chairs. So he had the chairs that were sold on that day, going back to pay the loan at the end of the day for the money that was borrowed for the chairs that were built that day that were going to be sold tomorrow. And at the end of the day, he only had enough money to feed him and his family. Now, can you imagine just $500 put this guy totally in business for himself, gave him a place that was his place, and enough materials that he could build chairs, get a factory going, employ 5 people, and they're able to produce 50 chairs a day. 50 chairs made all the difference in this business. And the loan was paid back in full. That's all. People are looking for help. And I think with social responsibility, not only helping the people who can help themselves, the world is full of people who can't help themselves, who are unable to help themselves. Just think about children who are born with um, mental deficiencies, learning difficulties, who need extra help. Their families need extra help. Think of children who have physical disabilities, where the parents are full-time carers for their child who need a break. They need respite care. They need to be able to have a weekend to themselves. And that is something that people oftentimes say, okay, I'm going to be socially responsible. I'm going to create an organization. I'm going to create a charity that allows that. Here's another one that I was very aware of. In fact, I was involved with when I was in Portland, Oregon. Um, Children who lose siblings at an early age. You know, you're 3 years old, your older brother who you played with and everything ended up getting leukemia and dies. And people just said, well, he's gone to heaven. That doesn't make any sense to you. And how do you deal with your grief, especially when mom and dad are grieving? And maybe grandma lives far away. Or if grandma comes to help out for a few days, she's only there truly for a few days. Maybe she's a school teacher in another state, has to go back and teach school. Maybe the school said you can have a week off. That's not enough time, not for a 4-year-old child or 3-year-old child to understand what's going on or to get through the grief. And so there's all kinds of organizations. How about kids who are lost? There's charities that I'm aware of where they just raise money for teddy bears so that whenever a policeman comes across a child who's lost or uh, misplaced or whatever the situation is, the police officer can reach into his trunk, pull out a teddy bear, give the bear to the child as a buddy, somebody to hug, to hold, to talk to. As the officers might be talking to the bear, the child can answer for the bear the questions that the officer needs to hear. Whatever has to happen. But it doesn't happen because police officers really can't afford to spend the money for a teddy bear for each child that they might come across in a tour of duty in a week. That could be lost, missing, parents are unaware where the child is, that kind of thing. Children get lost in a store, parents haven't even noticed that one of the 8 kids is now missing. Um, they're now frantic, they're looking all over the place, and somebody's already found the child. And so you just hand the child a bear, at least it gives them a sense of comfort. It's social responsibility. Helping sports teams, helping youth clubs, helping um, organizations that are out there that are doing good things. Have you ever known an organization that didn't need more money except for the American Red Cross at the time of 9/11? Do you remember that whole fiasco? If you're old enough, 9/11, the trade towers came down. Horrible. 3,000 people dead. It was a terrorist attack on American soil. Everybody was absolutely shocked and mortified. The world came together, and within like a week and a half, 2 weeks, they raised over, you know, two $2.5 billion. It was more money than they needed. The American Red Cross said, well, we're going to just take a lot of this money and we're going to distribute it to other programs. And people sued. They said, no, that money is for there. Well, while people were being so generous to the American Red Cross, other charities were suffering. They were getting no money. Nobody was, because they were all aware of what happened in New York at the trade towers. But even to this day, because the way that the money was labeled and set aside, you've got the firemen, the policemen who entered into those towers, who breathed in all of that dust that had all of the uh, insulation fibers that have attacked their lungs. And they're dying today of all kinds of pulmonary and cancerous diseases from all the toxins that they breathed in that rescue effort. And they're not entitled to any of that money the way it was structured. But there's billion of dollars available. They don't get it. Their families don't get it. And so there's charities like Tunnels to Towers that say, if you're a policeman, if you're a fireman, if you're a soldier, if you're an airman, if you're a sailor, if you're whatever, and you die in duty, your family deserves to have the mortgage paid for your home. Just done. They don't have to worry about a house payment or losing their home. It's all paid for you. And that's what they try to do. So there's a lot of charitable opportunities out there. And I want you to be aware of that, because as an entrepreneur, we are highly blessed people. We understand, we create, we become creators, we begin to understand how to attract money to ourselves. And the goal isn't really to have the most toys and then you win. You can have all the toys you want. You're still going to die and you can't take them with you. But, can you do with a few less toys and maybe help a child, help a family, help a situation? And you can just do it anonymously. And, if you read the good book makes it very clear. If the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, you'll be blessed. Because the people who put out the money and say, hey, give me all the attributes and the recognition, they get what they want. They get their reward right there and then. But the people who are quiet and generous givers, they tend to get more. And they have that wonderful intrinsic feeling, that feeling of I'm a winner and I helped and I am so grateful I could help. And there are people out there who are big money folks who give quietly and nobody knows what they've given away. John Huntsman, a man that I knew in Utah, worth over $4 billion. His son told me one time, he says, I don't even know what my dad gives away, but I know he gives a lot. He gives 10% to his church every year. He gives another 5% to various aspects of what goes on in his church. And then he's giving at least 20% more to various organizations and charities around the world. And he does it through intermediaries. Nobody even knows it comes from him. Man, I want to be a guy like that. I want to be such an entrepreneur that I am able to help alleviate some of the pain and the suffering that's going on in this world. We all know it. Some of us have experienced it personally. Some of us are recovering from it personally. But the opportunities are all there and available to us. Now, I want to thank you all for attending today. I hope I haven't bored you. I do want to tell you about the podcast finally. Some of you are aware, maybe not, but in the second to last week of May, I was struck by a motorbike and I hit the ground pretty hard. And I ended up getting a traumatic brain injury. I haven't been able to think coherently or to do much for more than 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes in a period of time. I've had a hard time tracking conversations, so I haven't been able to do a podcast. I haven't been able to take the material that I have collected for podcasts to get the post-production work done. I can't even remember the podcast that I did on the day of the accident. So I'm sorry, but I will tell you that I have gone to receive some outside the box help, and it's really helped quite a bit. I'm hoping to be able to get back and get working on these podcasts, get them out, start scheduling new ones, getting them going again. I thank you for your support. I'm grateful for the people who download my podcasts, even the old ones each week. Thank you very much for doing that. I hope that you get onto Gary's Glorious Golden Nuggets and catch the Golden Nuggets that are already down there. There's over 50 programs on board. Hopefully, by the time I get to July, end of July, I'm back to at least 2 or 3 podcasts every week. Thank you so much for all of your support. Thank you for being part of the Golden Nugget Nation. I'm just sorry that nobody participated tonight with their questions or whatever. If you want to know more about me, I have a book that I've written. It's called The Ancients Knew How to Manifest Everything. It's at Amazon. You can get it as an ebook. You can get it as a paperback. You can support me with a purchase. I would rather that it change your life for the better, that you begin to realize just how powerful you are and what a magnet you can to be attracting success, wealth, happiness in every aspect of your life. Thank you so much for attending today, and I hope to catch you next Wednesday night, 8 o'clock London time. Thank you so much for attending, and Freaky Friday. Hope you post something. I'd love to respond, tell you how I like what you got. Thank you. Bye.